listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back
Natalia,
and
unmute
enjoy
me.
the show.
Yep. We are back with another episode of Inside Real Estate. My name is Paul Apostolakis. We have Mr. Salvatore Kuzmano and Mr. Brad Weisgerber. We are the trio of Inside Real Estate, and we are not that cool for you to be listening to us, but hopefully we can add you some value. If you're like driving around and you found us somehow, stay tuned because I'm sure we'll have some fun. We've got a really special guest today. We've got Mr. Marc Summers, who is now the president of AIME. Because of recent events, he's had to step up from his position before, which I think was vice president, maybe. Sal, do you know, was it vice president before?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know for sure. We'll have to ask him because he's actually going to be on the show. So I wanted to bring Marc on. But before we do that, I wanted to thank everybody for liking us. If you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe to it so you don't miss any episodes. We do try to give everybody, all our listeners a lot of value and insight into real estate, mortgages, and just a lot of boring stuff. So that's what we talk about. It's just boring shit. So Mr. Marc Summers, welcome to the show. Let's bring him up. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
That's awesome, man. I know I've wanted to have you on the podcast for a while, and now that you're kind of steering the ship over there at AIME, I thought it was a good opportunity to get you on and kind of talk about it because what I go into a little today, Marc, is I want you to give our listeners, because we talk about AIME a lot and we talk about the organization, but we don't. A lot of listeners might not actually understand what AIME is, what it stands for. So I really want to spend a good portion of the show is kind of just understanding what this organization was built for and what the kind of mission statement is. So Marc, why don't you tell us a little bit about AIME, what it stands for, and kind of like your current position and what you're tasked with doing at AIME right now.
Basically, AIME stands for Association of Independent Mortgage Experts. To make a long story short, within reason, is we started this association about 2.5 years ago. We're over 40,000 members now. So we didn't even know. I didn't even know there's 40,000 of us out there.
There's 40,000?
40. We have over 40,000 signed up with us right now. Now,
it's crowded.
With that being said, it blew up fast. And, the thing about what we do is for the first time in the history of mortgages, basically, I mean, let's just be honest here. There's a divide here, and you have the big bank, what we call retail, then you have the broker side. And we are strictly for the broker side, period. If you sign up with us, we make sure we do background checks, basically, not full blown, but we make sure that you're part of the broker community. And it's just a clear, concise message of what we're trying to do. We're trying to take this broker community that before the collapse, was probably 70-80% of the total market. Now we're probably around 20%. And our whole goal is to get that up to 25, 30, 35, 40% as fast as we can.
Yeah. And, Sal, you might not remember this because I don't remember in the business at the time, but when I started at Quicken, we were a big retail lender, and the conversation back then was our competition was the broker because they owned a lot of the local market share, especially in the purchase market, because they're local guys that were doing a lot of good business. After the meltdown, a lot of the liquidity dried up. A lot of these brokers weren't able to keep conducting business the same way due to the meltdown. And a lot of people kind of blame the brokers. Wouldn't you say that, Marc?
Oh, God, we got blamed for everything. And the funny thing about it was, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you had those option arms. I don't know if you guys remember those where you could pay negative interest. It was just crazy. It was crazy stuff. And us at the broker community, we got blamed for it. But the way I look at it is, who in the hell gave us those products? Right? The banks. We didn't make them.
Yeah, because just so everybody understands,
right?
Just so everybody understands, as a broker, you're using somebody else's underwriting. It's their loans. They're the ones you're basically consummating and originating those loans on behalf of that investor, right? And then they're going to basically underwrite it. They're going to take the deal. I know a lot of times when you say middleman, it makes it sound like it's more expensive. It's not, because it's wholesale. You are kind of a liaison between the bank and the client. Really, like an originator would be at a bank sitting there for the bank, but you're kind of representing them independently on the outside. And the fun is, to your point, yeah, we've got to use their guidelines. We had to use their programs, and we got blamed for it. Well, not we, but back then the brokers did. And I'll tell you what, I was in retail at the time, and we wrote some shitty loans. And I know AmeriSave wrote some, not AmeriSave, what was it? AmeriQuest. Remember AmeriQuest?
Yep,
like they were a big direct lender, right? They kind of fuck shit up. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, so walk me through that. Why did people blame the brokers back then?
Well, I mean, we were such a big part of the market, and we're, remember like the ninja loans and all this stuff. I mean, no income. And I mean, they gave us these products to sell homes because, the mortgage-backed security, great way to explain this is if you've ever watched The Big Short. Every time I fly around, I watch The Big Short, and that movie dials it in exactly with what happened. But basically, we got blamed because we were such a big part of the market, and we were the ones writing. Basically, they're trying to tell us we didn't take enough accountability. We should have known better, to write those loans. Even though they provided them to us and all those guidelines, we should have known better, and we shouldn't have done it. It was all stupid.
Well, that's the age old.
Well,
yeah,
also back
that
then,
was the age-old question.
Back then, there also wasn't a unified voice for the broker community. I mean, they were a big part of the market, but they were almost the little man, the easy scapegoat, right? Because there was no unified voice for the whole community.
Well, and most brokers don't have billions of bank dollars behind them, right? So they're the ones that get wiped out the quickest. So it was kind of easy, and mind you, they're the ones who face the consumer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Brad, I mean, Brad, you hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, there's never been a voice for us. It's like I looked at it as we were such a big part of the market, but we were always kind of like the last to get the news, if that makes any sense. Like we were the last ones to get everything. Stuff just funnels downhill, and we were the last ones to receive it. But now with AIME, I feel we have a voice. I mean, how we're doing lobbying now. I mean, we hired a lobbyist, and it's strictly going to Capitol Hill. Right before the pandemic hit, like the national shutdown, that Monday I was supposed to be at the White House and Capitol Hill lobbying and talking to some congressmen who are part of the Housing Finance Committee, because there's never been lobbying. There's never been anything done before for the broker. It's always been the bank, mortgages, and then funnel down effect. So we're trying to change the game at the end of the day.
So, I mean, but this isn't the only organization that was supposedly to be like for our business, right? There's NAM, to be, but it kind of felt, and I don't know if this is true, but it always felt like NAM was much more very pro retail, bigger bank type representation than it was really for the broker, which to your point, there's 40,000 of them, right? Whatever it is, right? That's a lot. That's a huge population of people that was kind of not represented in the space where they were doing a lot of the business. So how is AIME different than NAM, which is the National Association of Mortgage Bankers, I think? Or
it used to be bankers. It's brokers now. But the funny thing about this is I'm not going to hit too much on NAM because, listen, at the end of the day, I don't care about them. I care about our association. But I'll say this. We have a clear, concise message of what we are for. NAM has both retail and broker. I don't know how you can really mix those two together. You know what I mean? Because they're two different models. Our association is strictly for that whole. You can't join. Period. So we keep it straight. We know what our message is, and we make sure every one of our members know what our message is. Yeah.
So, as far as the mission statement, do you guys have a mission statement really, other than what's right for broker? You know what I mean? Like, what is the ultimate goal of AIME?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We literally, I was just looking at emails because we're redoing our mission statements, our values, our goals, and everything like that. But basically, at the end of the day, it's to grow the broker community and to gain more market share. I mean, basically, is what that is our main goal. Is we're trying to, just like I said, we're around that 20% mark right now. I know by 2023, we want to be in that 25 to 30% range, and we just want to keep going. It's funny because I always tell the story of, if this was 5 years ago before this association and you were a broker down the street, I hated you. And I have no idea why, but I hated you, right? Like we were all our own separate individuals. And we were all fighting. Yeah. But if you really look at it, it's like, why? We don't need to be each other's enemies right now. I mean, and that's what this association has done as well, as we've come together. We brought 40,000 individuals basically who always have been individuals and brought them together within reason, and they collaborate with each other. I mean, heck, I would never have been able to meet some of the people I've met in California, Texas, Idaho, Las Vegas, and now it's like we understand that we're not each other's competition. We're not. It's
Right.
you know,
Right.
our competition is the big retail banks, you know, who kind of poach some of our loans. So that's our main goal.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges in the broker community that you guys feel that you want a part in to fix or help? What are some of the challenges as a broker that you guys think you can come in and fill kind of that need and solve some of the issues? What are some of the issues you solve, basically?
I mean, there are issues. I mean, you guys write loans. I mean, name an
Yeah.
issue. We have issues all over the place. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's a day by day issue. I would say one of the big ones that we have done is, you know, we're contacting lenders and lenders are contacting us like crazy, and we're basically having them sign. It's almost like a non-compete, and basically what it is they're tagging themselves as true broker partners. There was a term that was used, you know, it was called wholesale lending, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with that. But wholesale lending was, you know, I write a deal, I send it to ABC Bank, and then 6 months later, ABC Bank Retail is repurposing that loan, giving it to the retail side to then, you know, write a deal, sell a loan, whatever the case may be. You know, that's a shitty practice right there in my eyes. You know what I mean? So we have these banks basically signing these non-compete that say, you know, if you send it to us, it's going to stay in that wholesale channel. Period.
Yeah, and Sal, you've seen some of it, and just so the audience understands, when we talk about this, because for the layman, what would happen is a broker would consummate and originate a mortgage, and whoever the bank was that underwrote it and serviced it then retained that loan, and they considered that client their client, whereas the broker was the one that went out there, procured that client. And what would happen is those clients that did business with, let's say, Omega Lending or Paul Apostolakis or Salvatore Cusmano, were then considered property of ABC Mortgage, who underwrote file, and then would market and try to churn that deal, which in essence would take potential dollars away from the broker and their ability to create more wealth for themselves. So what AIME came in and said that is a unscrupulous kind of process, and we want to change that, where if we're going out there and procuring this client to do business with us, and we're bringing that person to you, and then you turn around and take that person and create more revenue for yourself through that by using my work to get them into your door, was something that was very hard to swallow. And so, I mean, we've been kind of seeing that, and you know, it happens, right? We have other lenders call our clients. Do you think that that's a huge problem in our business, Sal, or like, how do you feel about it?
I think it's a kind of, to Mark's point, it's a shitty practice, right? And to the whole thing that, you know, like UWM and whatnot, they said at the beginning, they're going all in on wholesale, right? They're no longer even doing retail. So, you know, you look at a lot of these companies who have a large retail presence, you know, like, and sometimes it's crazy. I see, you know, loan estimates from a retail that I can't even offer those rates wholesale. You know, I'd have to pay to close them. So I don't understand, you know, the two sides, that they wouldn't want to maximize the potential for the growth, right? And I think that when you see brokers who partner with one of those and all of a sudden their clients are getting calls from the retail, it's kind of like, well, you know, thanks, I guess, you know, thanks for closing a loan, but like, it's no longer my client. And that, to be honest, I mean, the way that I feel about it, you know, I think that as a broker, you constantly have to stay in front of your clients, and maybe even tell them like, hey, like, this is the only place I could write your loan. They might call you, but always call me back, right? I'll take care of you. Because at the end of the day, I mean, with advertisements and everything out there, someone's going to be calling your borrower. I mean, I get mail all the time from other lenders too. You can refi, you can do this, so credit pulls, trigger pulls, whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
as a practice, that's just shitty, right? To repurpose your client as a lead.
So, right. Mark, what do you say to a lot of the retail side? They say, well, listen, yeah, we won't call them, but it's not like ABC Mortgage Hut's not going to call them. So what's the difference if like trying to take that business over somebody else? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it okay to like stop them from getting the business, but potentially that broker could lose that deal to a myriad of different companies?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just got to be a level playing field at the end of the day. Hey, if there's a broker down the street that's better than me and he did something that I didn't do, well, that's my fault. I lost it. You know what I mean? But just because you underwrote the loan and whatnot, you're not a true partner of mine. You know, and I know, you know, like a lot of these lenders preach that, you know, Matt Ishbia always preaches that. Like, I want a partner. I don't want just a bank. I just don't want someone who's just going to help me just for one transaction to be done. I want somebody who's going to help my business grow. You know what I mean? So I tell all my members, and I mean, I still write loans, and I tell my guys, you know, hey, listen, make sure you know who you're sending this loan to. And some of these repurpose, you know, they refunnel these loans to their retails. So you better make sure you stay in front of your clients.
And a client is sending a check to X bank or whatever, right, every single month. So when they get a call from them or a letter in the mail, it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I was supposed to do, right? You got to figure out the refi, and and to your point, it's kind of like a unfair playing field. They got all the information on the loan, they know the rate, they know when it closed. So it's kind of easy if you're on the retail side, you know, just firing through those leads. I'd have to imagine that like Quicken or whatnot, when they have those pools of leads, they're probably high conversion.
Not only do they have all the information for the loans, but they have the money and the technology to be able to cycle those loans and serve them up to the retail loan officers when it's the right time, right? They have all the technology to automate all that shit, where small broker shop, chances are you don't have that technology, and you got to manually sort through your book of business to find those deals, right? So like you said, Mark, it's not a fair, it's not an even playing field to start with.
I mean, and that's what AIME's trying to do. I mean, so we've partnered ourselves up with vendors who are getting AIME discounts, and you know, I mean, and trying to put all this technology and every possible tool that we can in front of our community, you know, to be the best and make sure they retain those clients and make sure they're given the best service. I mean, at the end of the day, I always tell people, you know, we look at the consumer first, what's best for the consumer, and there's stats out there basically that show that brokers are better for consumers. We have lower fees, lower rates, and we provide better service on surveys. You know what I mean? So we're trying to push that message and give every type of resource possible to our community to gain market share.
That's awesome. So with 40,000 members, let's say, right? That's a lot of weight, right? And you can, like, there's a lot that there's power in numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does the organization of those 40,000 members mean to the ability to gain tools at a potential discount, because there's so much buying power there, right? Like if there's a CRM that works really well, or if there, you know, if there's a product that really works well, or healthcare, right? I know that's probably something that you guys are working on diligently, because our healthcare, having that many people in an organization, we don't get the same healthcare benefits because we're smaller little shops, right? Unless you get creative. Right. So what does that power in numbers do for AIME, and what does that power give you the opportunity to create going forward?
We learn something new every day. I'll tell you that much, you know? So it's, you know, you hit the, you know, with the health insurance, I can't tell you how many calls I've been on with health insurance carriers, you know, because of laws. If you're an association, you can group together, but now we don't have a lot of carriers that will do that and go nationwide, because it's hard to fill out a census, how many people. So, I mean, we're fighting that fight every day. But you know, when it comes to numbers, I think a lot of these lenders now are seeing that, holy crap, I mean, this is a big community. We're missing out on some of this, you know what I mean? And what can we do? Now, we have lenders. I always look at it this way. Remember back in the day, I mean, I started this business in 2001. I remember I just used to send loans to whatever bank. Remember WAMU and all those, you know? I mean, like, you would send it, and they wouldn't do anything for us. It was like, gimme. And
it was a rate sheet. That's all you got.
Yeah, you got a rate sheet and you got YSP and you were good to go. You know what I mean? Make sure you fill out all your disclosures. And now, like, I feel with AIME and what these lenders are doing, it's flipped. Now these lenders are coming to us saying, how can we help you? You know, a perfect example of that one is, I mean, just look at what some of these lenders do. UWM's a perfect example. They're giving us all these marketing tools and everything. And, you know, back in the day, that would never have happened. And I feel like with AIME, we have flipped that upside down to show power in numbers, you know, that, hey, this lender's good, go with them. You know, a perfect example is Home Point Financial. They're a big supporter of us. You know, I know they've suspended for a little bit for obvious reasons, but I mean, we help them grow their business, and we're helping a lot of lenders grow their business, and they're helping us now grow our business. So it's like you're partnering up with great lenders now that get that going the broker. They're all in on the broker side.
Yeah, you know, and Sal and Brad know this I think as a business model in general, anybody you work with should be a partner, right? When I look at a company like a CRM or a POS, or implementing technology or adding anything from that hasn't, I look at it like I'm partnering with you, and you better give me enough value to feel as though that you're valuing the partnership, because really what it's about, especially in our business, the broker community. I think one thing that retail misses out is the soul of the partnership. And for us, we partner with real estate agents. We partner with our referral partners. We partner with local communities. Partnership and brokers are really synonymous, in my opinion, because we are built on partnerships. Brokers are built on partnerships, and good ones. And I don't think that can be taken lightly. So when you see someone that potentially is doing something nefarious, it does raise the alarms on the back end when you feel like someone's taking advantage of your partnership, right, Mark?
Absolutely. I mean, hey, I want to help you grow. You got to help me grow. It's not a one-way street. It can be a two-way street. And that's what we're preaching that all the time.
Let me ask you this though, is making the focus so much on bashing retail sometimes, can that be kind of distracting, where as opposed to doing that, sometimes I feel like if we spent more energy on talking about collaborating and what we can do well, I feel like our community might be served better, personally. And this is just a personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I personally think like we spent as a community so much time on the perceived enemy that it took away from our ability to kind of work on our craft. You see what I'm saying? Like, do you feel that on some level?
I think we've turned the corner on that. I think we had to show who was the enemy, and it wasn't each other. I think we all thought like, Omega Lending was my enemy, and you're not my enemy. Yeah. So I think that we've been able in this 2.5 years to show, okay, we're not each other's enemy. And I feel we've turned the corner on that now, and say, okay, retail, go do your thing. There's a spot for you. I don't know where it's at, but there's a spot for you. And we're going to move forward with our collaboration, our community, making 40,000 into 60,000 into 80,000, gaining more market share. So yeah, I mean, the thing with the retail side, I'm done with them. I don't even want to talk about them anymore in terms of, I don't need to bash them. I'm focusing on what we have going on here. Thank you. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward with, instead of they're my enemy, I'm moving forward with, this is why brokers are so good. And now we need to get that out. Yeah. We've gotten that out to our community. Now we need to get it out to the consumers, so that's the next thing that we're working on, is how do we get this out to consumers? And I've always said, know your options. You have to know your options. Just don't think there's one bank. There's tons, and they all have a different niche. I mean, you guys know this stuff. They all have a different niche. Some have better 30 rates. Some have better 15 rates. Why wouldn't you want to shop? For most people, probably more than 95% of the people out there, their biggest financial decision is going to be their mortgage. Yeah, and we're in charge of that. So we have to take that seriously.
So what do you think? Oh, go ahead.
How do you get that message out to consumers? Because in my head, there's no reason that anyone would go with a retail banker over an independent or over a broker, because rates are almost always lower, unless they're undercutting everything. But rates are almost always lower. They get a better deal. Fees are less. You're going to get more personal service as opposed to going to a big bank. But still, retail is a huge portion of the market. How do you get that message out to these people that just don't know?
Well, I mean, it's history. What did you always do? Like, I still have people that say, I'm going to go with my bank because I bank with them. What the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, so you have your bank statements with them? Who the hell cares? You know what I mean? Like, I can save you 0.5%, whatever the case may be. But also now we're getting it to our community, our members that are now individually sending out their message. And especially with like all this social media, there's so many social media pros out there now that, they live and die with Facebook. And so we're telling our members now, hey, send the message out that to your consumers that you got to shop your loan. You got to go with a broker. They represent 18, 22, 25 different banks. Why wouldn't you want to go to someone who's going to take care of your biggest financial decision instead of just going to who sends you bank statements?
Well, and right now, I mean, it's pretty easy if you get an inquiry to kind of show the service levels. Every person I talk to that's working with a bank is like, yeah, I talked to him 7 days ago and haven't heard a thing. Right. So I think that there isn't enough brokers to handle the amount of deals out there right now. Right. And that is probably the mission of turning, like you said, 40 to 60 to 80,000 members of this community. And people kind of need to realize, like, if you are working at a bank, you aren't necessarily in the best position for your job. Like, why would you want to work at a bank when you could work for yourself? But I guess that's not for everyone. But it's a good thing to think about, especially having support with AIME and these other brokers and these, like you said, Facebook. There's groups. There's ways to get this done a better way, which ultimately benefits the consumer.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mark, I have a question. So I know that. Look. I mean, there's things that both sides do good and bad, right? Where do you think the broker community is playing a little bit of catch up in comparison to the retail community? Are there points of contention where we feel like we need to add more value and do a better job of, as opposed to some of the things that we're doing great, right? Like, what is it that you think the broker community needs to do to step up their game?
It's a great question. That's a good one right there. No, I think we have everything now. And now it's just the believing side of it of, yes, we are what's best for the consumer, and exuding that confidence out there and getting more of us. I mean, there's 40,000, we'll call it, mortgage loan originators out there, 50,000 maybe. Well, how many retail banks are there? There's thousands. I mean, thousands upon thousands of them. And the other thing about it is they don't need a license. You know what I mean? Like you don't need a license. You can write mortgages.
The FDICs,
It doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I use that as a sales tactic, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's just not enough of us, and trying to get people to understand, not just the consumers, but brokers themselves or wannabe brokers that want to come in. We're telling them, like, listen, there's not a lot of overhead here. There's not, you can do this and you're going to make more money. You're going to help more people. So I think we were behind for a long time with technology, but I think we got the technology back now. I really do.
So I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up, because we're competing against the digital era, digital mortgage, ease of use, all this stuff, right? And sometimes when you think of smaller broker shops, they would struggle to have that technology to kind of match that because it's expensive, right? So when you say that, what technologies are available to brokers out there that they can utilize to compete on that technology scale? You know what I mean? I know there's a lot of companies that you guys have partnered with that are part of AIME, but in your opinion, can the broker compete with the dollars and cents that all these other companies put into marketing, and also on top of that, their technology?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we can. We can now. Before we couldn't, and I think with the help of a lot of these true lending partners, they put a lot of tools into place for us. And along with, you can always visit, our website, aimegroup.com, and you will see in there we call them true vendor partners that will be able to help you with whether it's a CRM, whether it's an LOS, a POS, whatever the case may be. They will all be there to help you.
Well, and traditionally, right? I mean, the broker community is fed by relationships, right? There's not like tons of lead shops as far as brokers go. Most of them are the local bank with the relationships with the realtors that we would fight against at Quicken when we worked there, right? Like, well, my realtor really wants me to use, this guy at ABC Mortgage. And, that was like, it was funny how we would battle them on the other side of it, right? Like, no, that's not good for you. But really, I don't think we need the advertising and the technology. Like, think about like UWM. Did they spend billions of dollars in advertising to consumers? No, but they did the right things and created the partnerships that helped them grow, right? And allowed brokers on their end to grow their relationships with their local referral partners, whether it's CPAs or realtors or whatnot. It's kind of like more of a word of mouth, sweat equity, elbow grease type of deal. You don't really need necessarily, I think, those marketing dollars to compete with retail. It's almost easy to battle them with knowing that, like, yeah, what you saw this ad, you see the points in the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's how they always used to get you.
All...
Read that fine print down there.
Right. It's
1.99, 14 points. Sorry.
With an 800 credit score and 50% equity and $400,000.
Just because you have it just because it's on the fucking price sheet doesn't mean it's like a good deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So where do you think AIME has struggled?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I think we're doing so many good things, and I'm more of the glasses half full guy. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I always focus on what we're doing right and try to,
yeah.
go off of that. Yeah. I mean, are there things we have done bad in the past? I mean, within reason? No, because I think everything we have done as a true association is we brought a community together that never existed, that needed to exist. And now we have this great community with I'm telling you, some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. And I would never have been able to meet these people without this association. I mean, I could go on and on with names of people who reach out to me constantly, and from Texas. I would never have met anyone in Texas, and the thing about it is when we do our events, I always tell people, like, we work really hard on the content with our events. We try to do like 2 or 3 regionals and 1 national, and we're still going to our national one as of today in Vegas at the Bellagio at the end of September. And we hire great speakers. We have some of the best people come in, some of the most prominent people in the mortgage industry come in, and they talk about how they do their business, how one guy writes himself 350 loans per year, which I still don't get, but good for him. But I always tell people, you're going to get a nugget from this. So where you get the real value is collaborating with someone you would never have met before, talking about how you do business in Texas compared to Michigan. And you kind of come back going, oh my God, I can do this. And you always want to change your business and do better. And that's what I love about this association is we've created this community. We flipped it upside down. We're here to help each other. I mean, I got so many feel good stories to go back to your point, Paul, what do we struggle with? I don't care. I'm worried about what we go forward with.
That's a great answer, by the way. That is a great answer, because you can't control those things, but you can control the positivity and doing the right thing. I like that answer. That's a good answer, Mark. I appreciate that. So I personally have my own feelings about the actual community. I love the community and I hate the community personally. And I'll tell you, there was a period of time where there was so much negativity going on in the community that it was making it hard for me to be part of it. I think the overall message and what's happening is absolutely one of the most positive things about it. And I think if the focus was on that instead of the animosity, the anger, all that. And I also want to ask you about like mini correspondents. Now they kind of are shunned from the community now. So everybody understands mini correspondent is where we are one. We have our own line of credit, gives us an opportunity to be able to do a little more things with margin when we need to, like give credits and stuff like that. We look at it as a benefit to the client, but there is some rhetoric in the community that is bad for consumers. So I want to get the feel of AIME in general. Like, is AIME like against that? Are they okay with it? Are they like, you know what I mean, agnostic? Like, where does AIME stand as far as the mini correspondent?
That's a great area, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I would say we support you. You know what I mean? Because you're not underwriting your own loans, are you?
Right. No.
You know what I mean? And I think that's probably where we draw the line in all of this, because you still have the ability. Technically, you still are a broker. Let's just be honest here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm fine with it.
I agree with that.
And there's a lot of mini correspondents out there. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you write an FHA deal, you're a broker. So you're considered a broker in my eyes. And I know what you were saying before, like all this negativity, but I look at it from this point. There's a lot of pissed off people, you know what I mean, who never had a voice. And now we have this voice, and I think they got it out. But just like I said earlier, I think we've really, with recent events, I'm stepping up. Our EVP, Katie Sweeney, I mean, she is working nonstop.
I hear she's a badass.
Oh, she's top notch. You know what I mean? Such a smart individual. And I think together, it's a perfect opportunity to move forward in a different positive direction. You know what I mean? And that's all, like I've said it before, that's all I'm focused on now. Don't care what's happened somewhat in the past. I mean, we learned from it, but at the end of the day, I'm moving forward. I'm focusing on, awesome people like you guys in the industry. Let's champion you guys. Let's champion this guy out in California who, I mean, I could go on and on with this stuff, we have Facebook group pages where, it's a great story. Someone came in and said, I don't know how to do FHA Streamlines. Is there like a coach or someone? Well, we had a member direct, and we don't ask anyone to do this. A member direct messaged her and said, let me know when you have an hour. They got on the phone together. He taught her how to do FHA Streamlines. Now she knows how to do it. That never existed before. That would never have happened before.
Yes.
So when we hear those feel good stories, I love it. That's
Brad. I mean, we just had an experience like that. Like we're talking about our LOS. We've got point. We suck at point. We think it's a shitty like system, but then we were like, well, can we make it work? So I put a message on the Brokers Are Better message, just to throw it out there. I'm like, hey guys, anybody know anything about Point that can help us out? Dude, when I tell you, I had multiple people reach out to me, and I had one when Carol, I think it was, right, Brad? If I remember, if I forget it. Yeah. She literally just picked up the phone and called me. She stalked me, found my number, which is pretty public, and she called me and she's like, I know a lot of shit about this. And I'm like, whoa. And then we got her on the phone, Brad, and tell me that wasn't a breath of fresh air for you.
Oh, it was the greatest thing in the world. I mean, I was struggling hardcore with certain aspects of Point, and she picked up the phone, called us. We talked for like an hour, and it was fantastic. And we weren't enemies. She's a broker out of Texas, and the collaboration was great. And she really helped us a lot, and I appreciate.
And that wouldn't have happened without the community. To be fair, Mark, 100%. To really. And I think that's the beauty of the community. That is the power of the community. And for those, well, go ahead.
I think loan officers in general are like good problem solvers, right? Like every loan kind of has a problem. Like I like to dig in, right? Like when I go on to those forums, and I don't go on all the time, but when I do, I always see someone who's like, hey, underwriter said this about this file. Like, what can we do? Like, it's fun to figure it out, right? Like, direct message someone, tell them to do this, and then like 2 days later, yeah, that worked, but they clear to close a loan. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. It feels good. And you're scaring the hell out of me with those scissors, Paul. Just so you know.
Yeah, me too. The scissors out.
Sorry, dude, Jesus. So what are some things initiatives, Mark, that AIME is moving towards?
More market share, and we're trying to get more I mean, we listen to our community. I'll tell you that much right now. We listen to our community and say, what do you need? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of turned in as, I almost feel like we're a hub for problems. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we'll get you in touch with someone who's going to help you solve those problems. I would say like initiatives moving forward, is obviously just championing the broker more as much as we can, trying to grow more market share, trying to get the best technology, the best coaching. I always tell people this, everyone has different goals. And that's one of the best things I always say about this industry that we're in. If you're in a bank down the street, you have to do things a certain way, right? Like you have to, that's just their policy. But how many individual brokers out there that like to do Facebook? Some do, some don't. Some like to go to more events. Some like to do this. Like when you're a broker, you have that individuality to be creative in whatever you do and run your business the way you want. And there's no right answer for what we're going to do moving forward, because I'm sure Omega Lending has some things they want to work on, right? And the broker over here doesn't want to work on those things or has already solved those problems. So really, we listen to our members, and obviously we take all the data in, and okay, this is a problem area. Well, let's contact so-and-so to figure out how to fix this. I know I'm really vague there, but that's just kind of how things work with us. We're trying to solve 4,000 problems every day. Yeah. Anything, we're just here to support. You know what I mean? Support and help you grow.
Do you see on your radar in the future, like any organization or company or broker putting together like almost like a processing hub for the members, right? Like they work and are approved with all AIME approved lenders, and they, got a staff of 50 processors or 100 processors to process everything for these brokers. Because I feel like, especially in these times, right, that's a down or a problem for a broker sometimes, is having, too much volume.
Yeah, no, I don't. I would say as of this moment, no, we're not going to have like a processing hub, because we support processors too. I do webinars with processors all the time, and because let's be honest here, they're kind of the lifeblood of us.
Yeah.
How many brokers out there, if their processor left them today, could get that loan done from start to finish? There's a lot of people that couldn't do that. So we champion them as well. We support them, but I would say a processing hub now. I don't think that's on the radar right now. But you know what? I'll bring it to our people and see what we think and see what we can do. We don't want to strip anybody's, business from them either, but whatever we have to do to help is what we're going to do.
Yeah. I think, we have all our own internal processors and staff, and everything works great for us, but I know there's probably a lot of brokers who are struggling to keep up right now. So
Yeah.
Mark, are there like certain shops or broker shops across the country that AIME looks at and says that's a really good formula? And there's a million in our business. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, right? Like we're very relationship driven. We do SEO, do a lot of different things. But like, what are you laughing at, Brad?
The terrible expression. Go ahead.
Skinning a cat?
Yeah, it's a terrible expression.
You ever skin a cat?
No.
Then how do you? I mean, how can you possibly judge it?
I can see
Anyway.
you doing that up in the UP, Brad.
Yeah, bro, you've skinned some stuff in your life, that's for sure.
got, like-
Not a cat.
Yeah. I don't even know what I was talking about, bro. You totally like derailed me.
I think you were going down the line of, do you see broker shops out there that have it down pat?
Yes.
And we're probably
are there getting good models to model yourself after, like because I know there's a lot of best practices, and are we sharing those effectively?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do. So what we've been doing, especially during COVID, is I can't tell you how many broker shops and broker owners we've had on like our live Facebook feeds, and they kind of go through how they do their business, where they're going, mistakes they made. And another thing that we have as well is we have our own podcast. It's called Broker to Broker. You know what I mean? So we bring someone in once a week, some of the best in the industry. And just like I said, I mean, hearing people's stories of how they got in the business, where they're going, how they got to where they're at, and mistakes they made and their mindset. Yeah, I mean, there's 1,000 good models out there, and every time we see one, we try to hop on it right away.
Yeah, I haven't been invited on that podcast yet. It's just weird.
You must have lost that invitation in the mail.
Just really strange that I wouldn't be on that podcast. I feel like I'm very smart.
I'll put you on the list. I'll put you on the list, Paul.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, dude, I feel like the community's done a really good job. How do you feel? Look, especially through COVID, I think AIME did a wonderful job communicating to the community what was happening, and I think the AIME championed a lot of our ability to do some things in Washington that we didn't have before. And I know that you said you have lobbyists now. That's a really powerful thing to have people there that are speaking on our behalf. What role is the lobbyist playing now in Washington? And what are some of the things that they're trying to accomplish through Washington?
How long do you have? Because this list goes around my house about 4 times. You know what I mean? Listen, at the end of the day, when it comes to lobbying and government practices and legislative updates and stuff, right now, our lobbyist is basically saying this is what's going on over at the White House and Capitol Hill, and we express that in our legislative updates. This is new, and this is how it affects you or doesn't affect you. But they're still feeling out because we have a couple. Congressmen on board with us. And don't ask me their names. We have a few.
Are we greasing on board? Is that what you mean on board?
We have a few on board.
Is that their language?
Yeah, but it's like you just can't go in there, saying we want this change, we want the 3% rule dropped. You just can't do that. You got to go with light feet. You know what I mean? So we're working on, and our lobbyist is feeling out like what's the best way to go. How do you do this? But with COVID and all this stuff, it's just so hard to take that next big step. So once we kind of get back to a little bit of normalcy, I'm sure that we'll be right on those steps of Washington, banging on their door.
Speaking of normalcy, what do you see for the future of the housing market and refinances? Do you see a very healthy business going forward? Do you see potential layoffs and potential disruption in the employment sector causing some problems? What do you see coming up with potential rebound of COVID coming now and all that stuff? Do you feel like we figured out all the issues and we can kind of exist within this world, or do you feel like there's other things that we need to be wary of?
As I don't have a crystal ball. That's just like saying what a rate's going to do. You never know.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
My opinion is I think we're going to have a strong market probably right now. I'm saying through 2023. Would be my guess. I mean, the housing market fuels this economy so fast. I mean, it's the fastest thing that you can use to fuel this economy. And obviously there was a collapse in 07, 08, whenever that was. I don't think, regardless of who's in Washington, they're not going to let that happen again. You know what I mean? And
right. I agree with
yes,
that.
there's going to be rebound, but the housing market as well. I mean, there's not enough inventory out there right now. I mean, inventory is so low that I think we're going to be strong for a long time. I really do.
Yeah. I agree with you. You guys have any more questions before we go to 3 questions for Mark?
I was going to say, Paul, you always said, I mean, you can go back and listen to episode after episode after episode, but you always said our market's going to be great as long as jobs are there. So how do you feel on that statement, knowing that more than likely more unemployment's coming? I mean, our unemployment's up now, and it's probably going to continue to rise based on what everyone's saying.
I'm going to say something that's super harsh, but it's the reality of kind of our current jobs market. And I know this is going to sound callous, and I don't mean it to be callous, but it is the reality of what we're dealing with. The service sector is really the sector that's taking the biggest hit, in my opinion. Right? That sector is having a really hard time adjusting to the new normal of where we're at. And I know from experience that the service sector wasn't always the sector of the employment sector that was driving home purchases and refinances. A lot of times that's either a summer job or you're working through college, or it just isn't as robust on that side when people are buying houses. I think it will affect self-employed borrowers quite a bit, but that's already gone and we're still moving forward. To Mark's point, the jobs are a situation, but if let's say we're at 30% unemployment, well, there's still 70% of people that are employed. And because the demand is still so high, I think prices are still going to keep going up. I don't think we have enough supply to match the demand that's coming up, especially with millennials going into having babies and having families. That's a huge population of people that are moving in.
It's simple math. I mean, if we cut the amount of new,
it's an equation of math.
Well, if we cut the amount of new buyers in the market looking to buy homes in half, there'd still be more buyers than homes for sale, right? I mean, there's like 20 people per one house. I mean, at least like in the area we're at, it's nuts. 20, 30 offers on homes.
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, that's just but with the shift in thinking of, I can work from anywhere really now, right? Our companies allow us to go remote. I think you'll see a lot of development outside of the suburbs now, new suburbs, going up, like people moving and living in like Lapeer, Yeah.
Well, people can work remote now. There's a new normal as far as like traveling. Like you don't have to go to the office. I can work up north. I have buddies of mine that have cottages up north in Michigan, and they just went up north and they're like, I'm just working from up here, man. It's the air's, I mean, you know what I mean? So, and it has definitely changed your ability to have to drive to work, right?
COVID stress tests the infrastructure of our jobs market, and some of those jobs are going away. Some of them won't return potentially, and some of them are going to suffer. Like, we used to go out to eat all the time. Now we DoorDash all the time, and maybe we'll continue to do that in the future. Who knows?
If it wasn't for DoorDash, I don't know if I'd be eating right now. Like I would.
I know what you mean.
Right. So Mark, we're gonna get to 3 questions. Thanks for that question, Brad. I think that's the first time you've ever asked me a question directly. That's nice. So 3 questions. The other day, this will be my first question. Actually, my first question is out for new guests is always the same. What scares Marc Summers?
Nothing. I mean, really, it doesn't.
Balls of steel, everybody. We've heard.
I mean, what is there to be so scared about? I mean, we're in a great industry. We get to help people with their biggest financial decision. I'm more scared for personal things with my family than our industry, because I'll tell you this: our industry always figures it out. At the end of the day, it
is resilient. Yeah.
It is what it is, and I guarantee within the next couple years, someone's going to think the sky is falling again. And we're going to have to be the voice of reason and say, no, look at it this way. Remember when lender paid and borrower paid came out? People were like, oh my God, we can't make money. We can't. Pump the brakes. We're okay. This industry is a great industry. And just like I said, and I'm a glass half full guy. I worry about the positives. I'm moving forward with everything. Rates go up.
You're not afraid of spiders, snakes.
I am. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of heights.
You are?
Yeah, I mean, it's
How
weird.
high is high, though?
I can get on a plane and fly anywhere, and I'm cool as a cucumber. But you put me on top of a building, I'm shivering. I don't know why. I don't go on roller coasters. Nope.
So you'd have a hard time on a rooftop, huh?
Yeah, I seen you do some of your videos. No chance in hell I'm going up there.
That's hilarious. So yesterday we were talking about sports and how strange it is without an audience, right? So this is not in that vein, but it got me thinking, like, if you could, so we started talking about like a World Series and what that would be like to play in. So my question to you is, if you could be in any professional sports final game of the championship, which sport would it be and why?
I'd say baseball right now. Even though I coach high school basketball, I'm a big baseball fan right now. And, my kids are in it. They love it. They're both in travel. And I've fallen in love with that sport. And I just love the thinking behind it at all times. You know what I mean? It's somewhat a reactionary sport, but there's so much thinking and game planning and strategy before every pitch is thrown, after every pitch. I've fallen in love with that. So I would say baseball.
Yeah. How do you have a World Series without an audience and having that, like, do you think that changes the dynamics of the game, where a guy sitting on the mound doesn't feel the pressure on a 3-2 pitch as much as he would if people are booing him or yelling or screaming? You know what I mean? Do you think that affects the game?
No, I don't, because these guys are so good at what they do. You know what I mean? And they're so laser focused that if you're a professional athlete that needs that crowd, you're not going to have a long career. I'll tell you that much right now.
So you're saying the Tigers sucking has nothing to do with the lack of a crowd?
No.
Because
I think the Tigers are great. I love watching the Tigers. Come on, a lot of young guys.
You love watching them get railed?
I love watching the Lions. I love the Lions. You know what I mean?
I love watching the Lions. I love the Lions, and I don't like watching. That's like watching someone get murdered every time on the TV, and it's someone I know and care about. It's an abusive relationship, Mark, that we have with the Lions. Do not tell me any different.
It is, but I still love it. So no, I mean, when it comes to that stuff,
because you're too afraid to leave them.
No, when it comes to that stuff with sports and stuff, crowd, no crowd. Hey, if you're a professional and you're good at what you do, you don't need a crowd.
Yeah. Last question. And do you guys have a question before I go to the last question?
They're having crowds of holograms.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
That's what I saw. They're having crowds of holograms instead with sounds and colors.
Yeah, great. Give me some holograms in my house so they will cook and clean for me too. So I'm gonna get some holograms in my backyard and have a party by myself. Really. What's that?
Like playing in a stadium and like there's holograms in the seats. That's just fucked
That'd be trippy as hell. Could you imagine being on acid, being in a thing full of holograms?
No, not going there.
Yeah.
Acid's a hell of a drug. So last question is, who would you say up until this point in your career had not, I can't say the most influence because we're all influenced by a lot of people, but who has influenced you a lot up until this point, Mark?
That's a good question again. I don't know. I mean, see, I'm weird.
You told me off the air is Donald Trump.
I didn't. Not getting into politics either. Jeez, you're really hammering me here.
The Pope.
I'm going to say this right now. I have been blessed with some things that have happened to me, like through, when I was younger. I mean, I was a ball boy for the Pistons for 8 years, you know what I mean? And, so I got to see that. What I have done, and I'm weird, I don't focus on one person. I'm like that kind of guy that goes, all right, I'm already bored with that person after I followed him for too long. I need something else. I would say, like, I could probably name 100 people that have been influential to me. You know what I mean? And I take a little bit of piece from every single one of them, and try to make myself a better person. I mean, that's just how I work, because especially in today's day and age, you find one person and then you're going to find maybe something bad with them and then you go away from them. Well, screw that. You know what? I found something good in this person. I'm going to take that nugget. I found something good in this person. I'm going to take that nugget. I'm going to bring it together on my own.
So you're like a quilt with a whole bunch of different patches.
Exactly. Bunch of stripes, man.
Yeah. Listen, Mark, I appreciate you doing the show. Before we let you go, we're going to stay on the air, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, basically, there's two different ways to look at this. From the consumer side, if there's consumers listening, shop your loan, go to a broker. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, you're not going to regret it. You're going to have a good individual experience. And if you're a broker and you're not a member of AIME, become a member of AIME. You have nothing to lose here. You know what I mean? We're here to support you. Our membership is free right now. So my question is, why wouldn't you? If we're going to help you and you're going to be a part of this community, why wouldn't you? So that's all
How
I got
many
to say.
brokers out there do you think are not part of AIME? Is there still a huge population that aren't? Because
I don't know. We're trying to figure that out. That's tough to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'd say we got a good portion of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's more.
Who knows,
There's new and new people signing up every day that want to start their own shop. So we're trying to capture them as well. So I bet you we have a good portion of it, but there's going to be more coming.
Awesome, man. Well, Mark, thank you so much for reaching out to us. If people want to find AIME, where can they find them?
We're all over social media all the time. We got a great team back in Philadelphia that handles all that stuff for us, and they're spot on. But as well, aimegroup.com, AIME group.com. All the information's there. Anything you need, we're here for you.
Mark, thank you so much for doing the show, man. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Keep up the good work, man. We appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys. It was a blast.
All
That
right,
was
man.
A lot of fun. All right.
For sure, man. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah, so he just kind of, he jumped in, and I love Mark. Mark's a very good soul. I think he does change the perspective of the community a little bit, because Sal, you know me, I haven't been a huge fan of some of the rhetoric in the community for time. Not anybody's fault. It's just my own bias against some of the stuff that's said in the groups. But I do think there's a lot of good that comes out of it too.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately, it's a community, right? It's almost like a union for mortgage brokers, and
but sometimes it's like a bunch of cackling hens. Just say it.
Well,
just say it.
It's your opinion, though. But no, I mean, to be honest, none of them probably care what you think, right?
Nobody gives a shit what I think. That. You don't give a shit. Nobody listening gives a shit what I think.
But the ability for them to work together, like I said, you hop in there for 5 minutes. If you take a little bit of your time, you could probably help someone out with something, right? Like you said, you posted something, and all these people hit you up, took an hour out of their day to do a phone call with you and open your eyes to some things. I mean, it truly is. And rarely I feel like I come across battling with another broker. And it's almost like if I am, I'm almost like inclined to say, you know what, just stick with that dude. He's a good dude, right?
He's probably doing a good job. Yeah, we do.
I don't want to undercut another broker, right? But I'll cut the bank's throat, right? So at the end of it all, like
you'll cut their throat, dude. Jesus Christ, Salvatore. Going back to your roots, huh, Guzmano?
We're a good community. I think we all just need to kind of work together, because we've seen on firsthand, money saving things with like the credit reports and whatnot. Them being able to lobby with them to get us discounts, right? So
we did, we saved a lot of money, Brad, on credit reports. Brad, what would you like to see AIME more of? Like, what do you think that they could do that could help us more?
I'd like to see AIME support more in like an LOS, like a good LOS that they could.
And just so everybody knows, loan originating system. It's a system that we originate loans out of. Just so everybody knows.
Like UWM, they have a great LOS. They built it themselves. They bought the rights to an existing LOS, and then they scrapped it down and built it back up. And it's their own. It's great. It's amazing. If they could get UWM to, split some of that off and license it out to them, or have them.
They're not doing that, bro. Stop saying that. It's not happening.
Something like that.
Why?
Hold on.
Why would Matt give that up? No, there's no chance.
But something like that, where they can get a good,
it's a good LOS
that's compliant, that they could license out to all these shops for really cheap, that they could have their own LOS instead of having to rely on these lenders, right, to be able to get it in house. I'd like to see that.
Doesn't that homogenize us though, man? If all our competitive advantage of being able to navigate some of these challenges are taken away, and everybody's given the same product, the same system, the same marketing strategy, the same everything, aren't we at that point just all homogenized? And how do you set yourself apart as a bit? No, you don't think so?
Not everyone's going to use it, right? Not everyone's going to use it. People are still going to use a Compass. People are still going to use Point. Not everyone's going to use this LOS, but it'll be there for the people that want to use it, and it'll be a good option that's cheap.
Let's be honest though, from a broker perspective, right? Like the main three brokers I feel like people are using right now are UWM, obviously.
You mean lenders, not brokers.
Yeah. UWM, Home Point, Caliber, maybe a couple other small ones, where all you got to do is you could throw up a skeleton 1003 in there from whatever LOS, and finish it in there. It's really not that hard. I think that, yes, a new LOS will help lenders like us, right? Brokers like us that essentially like have, 15, 20 people working for them with, processes and things of that sort. But for the most part, for most brokers, I don't think there's too much of an advantage for an in-depth, robust LOS unless it's free, right? And obviously, if AIME could do that, that would be great. But like you said, then you gotta get people to use it, and it's got to be paid for somehow, right? So I think that there's potentially, it's kind of UWM just is setting the bar in every way that they do it, right? They got all these processes and systems together. It's like, why even build an LOS?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too easy with them. It's all compliant, blah, blah, blah. You download all the history and here you go, out of there, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't see, look, they're not a technology company. They tried it. And I think I think it was a failure. I don't think their system that they built was very good. I think they're working on it. But I hope they figure it out because a lot of people do.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, that's more or less, I think, just a individual company's decision. I think that, AIME just needs to get more brokers involved so there's more community to serve to. I mean, the more loans that, all these lenders do, the more money they have to build out their systems. I want to see Home Point step it up. I want to see Caliber step it up. I want them to be able to hire more people to make sure to keep up with volume. That's what supports the broker, is these lenders being strong. I don't give a fuck about a 3.2 file coming out of Point. I can just jam up anywhere, right? But I think
isn't that what Matt figured out very early on, that he had to add massive value to the broker community, and that's what he obsessed about. Now his turn times are like, if people just emulated what he does, which is very hard because it takes a lot of time and effort, everybody would be great. But that's Matt's competitive advantage. He has a better vehicle.
He overstaffed it, right? So they're always overstaffed. And mind you, they built a great system. Some of their people are, and I don't want to say they suck, but they're new. They don't have the experience, but it's so easy. It's all laid out right in front of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, we got to run, guys. But Sal, real quick on a side note, Sal is COVID free for the second time. I think you said, right?
Yeah, I guess forever. I don't think I've had COVID, so that's
Yeah, you got the antibody test, right, or something?
No, I was feeling a little under the weather and got a test, and we're good to go. But I don't.
Every day Sal will be like, man, I'm not feeling good, man. What if I have COVID? And I'm like, bro, then go get it checked out. Like, I don't need you here right now. But I mean, it's weird to have, because if my throat feels weird from like allergies, I'm like, I have COVID. Like, it's a weird thing to have to worry about. But anyways, that's another topic. But guys, thank you so much, boys, for being part of the show for so long. I love you. You guys are part of it. You guys are not the show, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
Nothing. All right, guys. I love you so much. For all you guys today, please subscribe, follow us, irepodcast.com, Facebook /IRE podcast. You can go to all that stuff. Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes. Like our shit because we're awesome. I love you. Goodbye.
See ya.